I am so happy that you all decided to join me today. The only thing I wish could be a little different is that we could actually be face to face. But this is a cool opportunity that I really am looking forward to. Webinar Wednesday, the third webinar in our series. And our goal with these webinars is to go beyond what we do in our normal trainings and to encourage continued exploration and discussion. So that's my goal for this afternoon. Today's topic, Are You a Believer? A look at universal truth number 1. So let's get started, shall we? Oh, by the way, I do have notes over here to my right, so you're probably going to see me flipping through them. Sorry about that. But the good news is I really prepared for you. So universal truth number 1, we believe. Now, quick recap. We call these 3 principles that make up the foundation and cornerstones of Kids at Hope, we call them universal truths for 2 reasons. The first reason is these 3 principles are universally found in research. These 3 things have not changed in the 20 years that Kids at Hope has been being practiced. The first, we believe children and youth succeed when they're surrounded by adults who believe they can succeed. The other reason that we call these universal truths is that these 3 principles, we believe, we connect, we time travel, are universally applied to all children and youth. Doesn't matter where they live, who their parents are, aren't, ethnicity, gender, doesn't matter. These are 3 things that all kids need. And we know that these are 3 things we really need throughout our entire adult lives. So universal truth number 1, we believe children succeed when they're surrounded by adults who believe they can succeed. We add to that by saying all children are capable of success, no exceptions. This is the part of Kids at Hope, our foundation, that idea of being a 10. Some of you have probably completed our culture scan where we ask, where are you on that scale of 1 to 10? Are you a 1, strongly disbelieve? Are you a 10, strongly believe? We know from our research that what kids really need are 10s. They don't need us to be 9s or 8s or anything even lower. We also know that if we're anything less than a 10, our effectiveness as treasure hunters can be diminished, and we might not even know it. So the first step in building that Kids at Hope culture, as many of you already know, is to put in place universal truth number 1, we believe. And it takes a long time to focus on this truth, and that's why we're exploring it today. Now, we can't talk about all kids being successful without talking about success and how success is defined. We know through our research that there are 3 types of success. The first is personal success, how you define success for yourself. I have my definition. You have yours. Kim's in the room next to me. She's got hers, and they're all different. And those of us like me that have been on the planet for a while, we know that our personal definition of success can and often does change. What's important to remember about personal success is that every kid, every youth has their own personal definition of success as well. So if you haven't had the opportunity to explore with the young people in your world what their personal definition of success is, I encourage you to do that. You'll learn something new, I guarantee it. There's also bureaucratic or organizational success. That's how your organization defines success. Usually, that definition is tied to some sort of numbers. Graduation rate, recidivism rate, sales figures, even in Kids at Hope, when we talk about 21 states, 4 countries, the tens of thousands of adults that have been through training, that's actually our organizational definition of success. The third type of success is cultural success, which is achieved as a direct result of knowing you contributed to each of life's 4 major destinations: home and family, hobbies and recreation, community and service, education and career. We'll be talking about the destinations in an upcoming webinar, but that's the definition of cultural success. And in a perfect world, the goal is to make sure that all of our young people are meeting all 3 types of success. What Kids at Hope does is make sure that there is focus on that concept of cultural success. That's where the future lies, those 4 destinations. So as I was preparing for this session, I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? How am I going to make it different, interesting? So I began at the beginning, pulled out a dictionary. Actually, I pulled up a dictionary because I was on my computer, and I looked up the definition of believe. Now, I know you might be thinking, Kenna, you are 64 years old, girl. Don't you know what believe means? The answer is yes, I do. But it's always good to revisit things and begin at the beginning because it makes you think. So to believe means to accept as true or honest, or to hold as an opinion. The thing that made me go, was being reminded that believe is a verb. Now, we all learned in elementary school, and I've been drumming it into my elementary age grandkids. A verb is an action word. Now, believe is a transitive verb, but we're not going to go there. We're not having a grammar lesson today. A verb is an action word. One of the things I've always thought about beliefs and action is that you can't really believe in something if you're not taking action toward that belief. So when it comes to Kids at Hope and believing in all kids, no exceptions, what are the actions that might be required to help us do that? We'll talk about that later. The next thing I wanted to do in my research and preparing for today was to see if I could find anything out about beliefs in the brain. I found out a couple of things. Again, you may already know this, but I'm hoping I'm giving you something new to think about. So our beliefs reside in the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for abstract thought, complex thinking, problem solving. That's where our beliefs live. When they do MRIs, the brain lights up the same way for a fact as it does a belief. So if I'm told this is a computer, my brain lights up the same way as when I'm asked about a belief that I have. We are what we believe. There are many, many, many studies that show that our beliefs and the emotions they create impact how our body reacts. I'm sure that makes sense to all of you too. If you've ever believed you were in jeopardy, you were scared, you believed that something was going to harm you, your heart starts to race. That fight or flight thing. We are what we believe. Our body reacts in accordance with our beliefs and the emotions that are generated. Beliefs are a choice. Our beliefs are influenced by our experiences, what we hear, what we see, what we're taught. We also know that all these receptors in our brain are flexible. That makes me think of one of my favorite quotes. Seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. Yep, Elf Judy from the Santa Claus. So now I know a little bit more about beliefs in the brain, but I'm still not where I want to be thinking about beliefs yet. The thing that has always made me think or question or ponder is the fact that we can believe in something but not practice it. Our Kids at Hope logo says Kids at Hope believed and practiced here. And if you've met Rick Miller, our chief treasure hunter and founder, he discusses that we need to do both. We need to believe and we need to practice. And personally and professionally, I've always wondered, why is there a disconnect? So this led me to information on professed versus actual beliefs. Professed beliefs are, as you would imagine, they're what we say. It's what I tell you. Professed beliefs are developed by our intellect, and they can be called into question. One of my professed beliefs is in living a healthy lifestyle. Cheers, everybody. Living a healthy lifestyle is a professed belief, but as you can see by the evidence, it's not necessarily one of my actual beliefs. Actual beliefs are what we practice. I have a disconnect. Sometimes we have a disconnect in other professed versus actual beliefs. When I think about Kids at Hope and no exceptions, the concept of being a 10, I want to make sure that my professed belief, if my professed belief is that I'm a 10, I want to make sure that that's also my actual belief. So then the question is, how? How do I make sure that my professed belief and my actual belief are in alignment and that there is no significant gap between the two? Well, that led me to some more thinking. If you've been through Module 1, you know that one of the other things we talk about are mission statements. What's your mission statement? Do you have one? Is it written down? This is the beginning of a new year, a new decade. This is the time of year when we're all taking a look at our lives personally, professionally. I mean, I was watching some daytime talk show the other day and they were showing their vision boards. We all do it. In Kids at Hope terms, it's a great time to look at your personal mission statement. If you don't have one written down, write it down. If you do have one written down, look at it, revise it if it's needed. If it's still exactly what you want it to be, post it somewhere where you can see it each and every day. You know, as I was thinking about this concept, mission belief, preparing for this session, I'm like, oh my gosh, my mission statement is a professed belief. That makes perfect sense. How do I make sure that my mission statement is also an actual belief? I was really pondering this one morning, and thoughts of a good friend of mine came to light. You see in my slides says mission, belief, and themes. Themes, what does that have to do with anything? My friend Joel Levinson, who is an author, an entrepreneur, happens to be president of the Kids at Hope Board of Directors, and he's an all-around good guy, doesn't do New Year's resolutions. And I thought, good for him, because I've done New Year's resolutions before, and usually by 10 o'clock on day one, I've found a way to not live up to my resolution. He does annual themes. He chooses themes that for himself that are designed to make him a better person. And I thought, wow, I really like that idea. So I found myself one morning thinking about themes, Joel's concept of themes and mission and professed belief and actual belief. And for me, it just sort of all comes together in a really good package. Like I said, for me with resolutions, things like that, sometimes the things we say we want to do, the way we say we want to be can be so black and white that if we don't live up to it, then we throw in the towel. I don't want to throw in the towel. If my mission, my professed belief is to be a 10, I want to continue to work on that. My mission actually happens to be to make a difference. If you've been in one of my training sessions, I may have shared that with you before. Make a difference. Short, to the point. Might seem kind of like a broad theme, but to me, that means make a difference for kids, make a difference for the adults who serve kids, make a difference for my family, make a difference for my friends, make a difference for my community, and even make a difference for myself. That's my mission. What's yours? Step number one in what to actually do to make sure that our professed belief and our actual belief are one and the same is to first begin by identifying your mission. So again, if you have a mission already written down, revisit it, see if it still suits you the way it is or if it needs modification. If you don't have a mission or professed belief written down, go ahead and do that. The second thing we can do, and I'm all about the so what. You know, we learn some stuff, so what do we do with it? Step 2 is to examine. Look under a microscope. Hold up the mirror. I use that term, hold up the mirror, a lot. My age, I don't want to actually hold up the mirror here, but I want to hold up the mirror to my practices. If I've clearly defined my mission, make a difference in my case, or my professed belief, or my theme for 2020, all the same thing, I need to examine my practices. I need to take a look and see where they align, where there might be some misalignment, and importantly, try and figure out why or why not the alignment or misalignment exists. You need to do the same thing. It's step 2. First, we identified our mission. Now we examine our practices. And when you're examining your practices, remember, don't beat yourself up. If you discover some things that you don't like, healthy lifestyle, don't beat yourself up. Figure out how you might want to modify things. As equally important, where you find there's alignment between your professed belief and your actual belief, your believed and practiced here, celebrate that alignment. Now, it's important that you're really sincere and honest with yourself. I know there are some things that I wish I did or wish I changed, and I come up with all kinds of excuses. Well, I couldn't do that because I couldn't give this up today because that would give me a headache, and I can't have a headache on webinar day. Now, don't look for excuses. Be sincere in your examination. The only one who's going to see it is you. It's important that you do this in writing. Believe it or not, when we make lists, we internalize things differently. And it's very, very important, like I said, to celebrate and really look at where your professed belief or mission lines up with your actual belief or practice. Okay? Step 1, identify. Step 2, examine. Step 3, act and reflect. Now, I put these two together because I think that you can't have one without the other. So you've examined your practices to see where they align, where they misalign with your professed belief. So now it's time to do something with that information, do something with the data. So you need to create an action plan. Yep. And do an action plan that's realistic. Many times we get excited about creating some change, and we create a plan that's simply too big to tackle. So create an action plan that's realistic. For example, let's say your mission is to be a 10. And in your examination, you discover that you can only list an asset, a treasure, for half of the kids in your program. Maybe you decide that that's something you want to act on. There's a difference. If you have 10 kids in your program and you can list an asset for 5, there's a big difference between that and if you have 200 kids in your program and can list an asset for 100 of them. It's going to take you longer to list an asset for 100 than it does for 5. So give yourself a break. Have a realistic timeline. And it's important that you write this down. Now, it's also important that you reflect on your practices. You know, somewhere, I think it's around page 24 or 25 in the Module 1 Fun Book, we have some information there on reflecting on your practices about being a treasure hunter. It's important that you reflect on your practices about implementing your actual belief. It's something you should do daily, not going to take a lot of time. Something you should write your reflection down. Because quite honestly, there's so much going on in our world today. If you don't write it down, you probably won't remember it tomorrow or the next day or next week. So reflect on your actions as a treasure hunter and where your practices are aligning to your professed belief. Write it down short and sweet. It can be you can put it anywhere you want. I've noticed that paper pencil planners are having a big comeback, and they even have pre-made pages that you can use for stuff like this. You may want to do it electronically. You may want to do it, if you're a teacher, you may want to put it in your lesson plan book. But by reflecting on your practices, you can celebrate and, if necessary, modify your action plan. I think it's important to celebrate. Where are we getting things right? And where do we need to change? By writing down your reflections, you'll see patterns emerge. Okay, so the 3 steps as individuals to making sure that your professed belief and your your professed belief and your actual belief are one and the same without a big gap are to identify, examine, act, and reflect. 3 steps, 3 practices, 3 steps. That just made sense to me. All right, so if you've done this as an individual, the question becomes, what about our organizations? How do we work on professed belief and actual belief as an organization? Guess what? Same thing. We talk in our trainings that our mission statements are owned. Our mission or professed belief belongs to us as an individual. A belief system is something that is shared, and that's what creates your culture. Both can have a disconnect. As an organization, you can have your professed beliefs and have a disconnect with your belief system, just like with individuals. You can use these same 3 steps in your organization. You can identify, you can examine, you can act and reflect. Some ways that you can collect data about your organization to begin to identify and examine your professed beliefs versus your actual beliefs are through the Kids at Hope Culture Scan. If you haven't done that in a while, you may want to do it again. If you've never done it as an organization, we highly suggest that you do. And you can contact our office to find out about that. If you want some more detailed information about your organization, you can work with our Hope Analytics team. And if you want to know more about that, contact Kim and she can give you some of that information. When it comes to creating your plan, your action plan, take a look at the new practitioner's guide. There's some ideas in there, but remember, it's a guide. Nothing in here is written in stone. It's to give you ideas. When you identify your organization's mission, that professed belief or that theme, it's your what, just like it is personally. My what is to make a difference. My why and your organization's why is still because all children are capable of success, no exceptions. That's why we do what we do as individuals and as organizations. It's about being a 10 because we believe in all kids, no exceptions. Believing in all kids, no exceptions together is what helps us create that organizational Kids at Hope culture. We need the what, we need the why to make things happen. So bringing it back around, we started out with our universal truth. We believe children and youth succeed when they're surrounded by adults who believe they can succeed. We add to that by saying all children are capable of success, no exceptions. We've had a little one-way conversation about beliefs and practice. There are professed beliefs and actual beliefs. We talked about 3 ways that you can, 3 steps, simple steps you can implement to increase the likelihood that your professed belief and your actual belief are one and the same. Identify, examine, act, and reflect. Now comes the portion where I ask Kim to share with me any thoughts or questions that you may have posted. And I certainly hope that you have been posting some thoughts and questions because quite honestly, this has been too one way. I want to get something from you now. So Kim?
Hi, Kenna. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, awesome. I haven't gotten any questions yet, but I just reminded them a few minutes ago to send them in. So we'll just wait a little bit and see if any trickle in. In the meantime, I can tell you that we have where everybody's here from. We had about 46 people joining us in our webinar today.
Oh my God.
And they are from all over the United States and internationally. We have people from Washington State, Arizona, New Mexico, Illinois, Texas, North Carolina, Oregon, Maryland, New York, Florida, and then internationally we have somebody from Canada. Hello, Sinsetsa. And Torbjorn from Greenland has joined us again today.
Wow, I feel so honored and humbled, and I certainly hope that having sharing some information about professed beliefs and actual beliefs and some simple steps that we can take to examine that. I hope that proves helpful to all of you that are connected to us.
Yep, and I see that some people are typing, and possibly we have some more questions coming in. So again, we'll wait a few minutes while the internet does its thing and gets those over to us. But we're super excited to be able to offer you these webinars. This is the first one this year, but we had 2 others. If you haven't, if you weren't able to join us for those, we record all the webinars, and we will have the recordings available. So if you registered for this one, you'll get an email within the next 24 hours with the recording of it. So if you want to share it with your colleagues or post it somewhere on social media, we're happy to have you do that. And again, those will be available and emailed out to you, and then again posted on our new Global Campus site, which you can access through our website. And we'll keep bringing these to you. We have another one, another couple scheduled for the spring of this year, and we'll be posting those again. Follow us on our social media or visit our website, and we'll make sure to get all that information to you guys. And I have a question or 2 already coming in. Ken, are you ready?
I am ready. I'm so ready.
Okay. Melora, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, Melora. She asked, what were the sub lists under culture success? Was that something that you had on a slide, maybe, Kenna?
Oh, yeah. The 4 destinations under cultural success. We define cultural success as making a difference in life's 4 destinations. And those 4 destinations are home and family, hobbies and recreation, community and service, and education and career, in no particular order. And those came to be because we asked people to define success, and we could not get a consistent definition of success. So how do you work on kids being successful if we don't all agree on what success is? But when we ask people to give examples of their successes, they fell into those 4 categories. We will be having a webinar that explores cultural success and time travel, and that will be coming up later this spring. But those are the 4 destinations, and thanks for asking.
Okay, thanks, Kenna. We have a question from Janet, who says, we're new to Kids at Hope here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. When Kids at Hope is being implemented in programs, what is the success rate?
Ooh, that's a really good question. What is the success rate when Kids at Hope is implemented in programs? I'm going to be 100% honest and say I don't have a flat out number that I can give you. I will tell you that some of the things that impact your success in implementing Kids at Hope are things like leadership. Anytime anything new is implemented, you need strong leadership helping with that effort. The time and attention you pay on implementation is going to impact your success. I will tell you that spending a lot of time on We Believe and taking a look at your professed beliefs and your actual beliefs and making sure those align, that's a really good first step in making sure that you're setting the stage for success.
Thank you.
I hope that helps. And if not, feel free, Green Bay, right? Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yep.
Reach out to us and have ongoing dialogue. We are always only a phone call or an email away, and we are here to support you. And even though I can't be there face to face, I am happy to converse via the phone, via email, teleconference, whatever, so that we can help you on your journey. We are all excited to do that with you.
Excellent. Okay, Sinsetsa is here from Edmonton, Canada. Yay!
Yay,
And,
Kenna.
and she says you have a choir with you. That's why there might not be any questions so far, but the questions are coming in now. So thank you, Sinsetsa. And she asks, anyway, how can we help members of the organization align their professed and actual lived beliefs?
I think by having the aligning professed and actual beliefs, how do we work on that?
Yes.
I think by really taking a close look at where things align and where they don't align. And when you're doing it organizationally, it's really important that you have a safe space to have what might be some difficult conversations. Nobody, I don't think, I could be wrong, but nobody really likes to take a hard look at what they're doing for fear of what we might discover. And sometimes, and it's important to have the conversation about why they don't align. And there can be several reasons why things don't align. Sometimes things don't align because it requires work. And maybe we're not in the mood to work. Maybe we need to take a look at that. Sometimes our practices don't align because there's some sort of fear getting in our way, being an obstacle. Maybe we're afraid of failure. Maybe we're afraid of success. Sometimes our practices don't align because we don't know what to do. We have a lack of information. So make it a safe space. There can be other reasons as well. Those are the three that come to mind right now. Make it a safe space to have the conversations and really have an examination of what's aligning, what's not aligning, why and why not. And when you create that safe space, then people will talk openly. And then you can create a plan that can be successful. I hope that helps.
Definitely. And Vinny from our good friend in Sequim, Washington, was replying when you were talking to Janet in Green Bay, saying that it's, in terms of the success rate, that it's as high as they can take it. So it's up to them probably to have some skin in the game and make it as successful as they can make it. And he also said that they could reach out to them as well. I know Vinny and Sean up in Sequim have been doing Kids at Hope for a number of years. I can't remember how many. You can send it to me in a chat, Vinny, and I'll let them know. But Janet, he's open for you to contact him. They're in the middle and high school there, and they can help you out with how to make this a successful endeavor within your organization. And then I have a question from Jonathan Johnson, our friend in Tacoma, Washington. Jonathan wants to know, do you encourage group participation in webinars to promote collective efficacy?
Ooh, I would love to see group participation in webinars. And you know what? I have a couple of thoughts. First, I want to go back and thank Sequim for saying that for reaching out, because that's something we hope to also achieve through our webinars and through our global campus that we're working on. And as far as doing the webinars as a collective, I think that would be a great practice to do. And I thank you for suggesting that, Jonathan. And I can't wait till hopefully we're going to see you in a few months at the Masters.
Awesome. And Vinny said 4 years they've been doing Kids at Hope up in Sequim. So they're way into this and know what they're doing. So they're great resources also for anybody who's new to the game to reach out to. And finally, Wally wants to know, what do we do if we have cohorts who do not believe in all kids?
Ooh, that's a really good question, Wally. What do we do if we have cohorts who don't believe in all kids? I think it depends on the situation, which is not a great start to an answer. I realize that. I know in my own experiences, my background, I was principal, and when we first started Kids at Hope, we didn't have everybody on board. The people that were on board worked together to try and bring others along. When something like Kids at Hope becomes your ingrained culture, it becomes your actual belief. People who are not comfortable with that set of beliefs may decide that they want to be someplace else, and that's okay. I think, we have a mantra or motto in Kids of Hope. We don't give up on kids, nor do we tolerate anyone who does. I think as treasure hunters, we have to have that same mantra with each other. We don't give up on treasure hunters, nor do we tolerate anyone who does. I think it's in our best interest to continue to try and bring others along in our organization as best we can. It's also important that if we don't have 100% on board, that's okay. We're still going to move forward with things that we know to be good for kids. So I hope that helps a little bit, Wally, and I'm sure you'll have some insight when you do your webinar next month. Do you have anything else, Kim?
Just one final thought. It looks like from Sinsetsa, in replying to her question, she said she agrees organizational culture is paramount. And like you said, if leadership has alignment, it can help the organization by investing in creating culturally safe spaces and embrace diversity of opinion.
Cool. I just want to reiterate something that I said earlier about the fact that we are always just an email or a phone call or a virtual visit away. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we know all of our practitioners out there. So we can connect you with one another. We can connect together. And like I said, these webinars are kind of an initial step in our global campus as we're trying to build capacity in that way to continue to reach out with one another. But please never hesitate to reach out to us with questions, with celebrations, let us know what's happening out there. I just want to share a couple final things. Our next webinar will be my colleague, Wally Endicott, and he's going to do a deep dive into universal truth number 2, which is we connect. How do we ensure all youth are connected to caring adults, no exceptions? That will be on Wednesday, February 12th. What a great early Valentine that's going to be. So I hope everybody joins Wally on February 12th. I know I'll be joining him. I also want to mention the Masters 2020, our 5-day adventure with exploring the science, culture, and soul of hope. Registration opens next week. We're doing something we've never done before. We've got an early bird special, if you will. We have early bird pricing through February. We have incredible speakers again this year. Dr. Ken Ginsberg, Raising Kids to Thrive. He will be with us again this year. He was with us a few years ago. Incredible speaker. I'm excited. Valerie Calderon, who is one of the few people on the planet who can make data interesting and exciting, will be with us. And I'm excited that we have Faye Mandel coming this year, talking to us about self-empowerment. Of course, we'll be doing Field Trip Day. Spencer Gorn will be joining us. We are looking for our poster sessions, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're interested in any of that, let us know. And I just want to, as we come to a conclusion, and we should mark this in the record books somewhere because this girl never finishes anything early. But today I am. I asked some middle school kids a few weeks ago, how do you know when an adult believes in you? And you've seen some of these quotes on some of the slides that have been shared with you in this presentation. One of the things they said was they think about you first. They help you keep going. They push you to the place where you want to be. One of the youngsters said, my dad jokes with me and tells me not to stress. Be patient. There's stuff going on with us they don't know about. That's the exact quote. And what this young lady was talking about is, there's stuff going on in their worlds that they may not have shared with us, treasure hunters. Treat us with respect. And finally, from a 7th grader, how do you know an adult believes in you? They're tough, but loving. Fellow treasure hunters, I hope you experience a lot of success being a 10, making sure that your professed belief and your actual beliefs line up. I wish you nothing but the best. Have a great day.